Welcome to World Cinema Reviews. This is your host Frank the Vamp, and today I want to do something different. You see, the other day I was watching my good friend Boogeyman Band do a review on Nightlight for Goosebumps. If you remember, Goosebumps are those where they were released back in the I don't know, I want to say 90s. Yeah, it was the early 90s probably. Were for children, and they were horror books written by the talented writer R.L. Steins. Okay, and I wasn't a fan of those books because those were past my time, right? I mean, I don't want to date myself, but I was much older. I was probably in my late teens by then. Um, and the TV series came out somewhere in Fox Kids, I think it was named back then, and then Fox Kids had it like around somewhere in 95. I think their original were in Canada, but then they transferred, but they were shown in the US. And, when he said that he wasn't a big fan of it because, we're both around the same age. Sorry, Ben, if I date you a little bit too. You know, we're not exactly young chickens here. However, the cool thing is that this TV show, even he said he didn't leave an impression on him. He left a good impression on me. I actually watched the show, and I really liked it. And it brought me back to thinking about how I learned from horror when I was a child. I learned from horror from was a child. As you see on the other ones of my videos, I watch. Salem's Lot probably is one of the first horror movies that I watched that really, really impressed me and scared the hell out of me. Movies like The Exorcist, that type of movies are the ones who taught me about horror. Which probably watching R-rated movies, bloody, gory movies at my young age probably wasn't the best. But if you're a horror fan and you're watching this, you probably were brought up the same way. We're all introduced to horror, and an age that it's by this R-rated movies, R-rated gory movies that either we sneak out to see, somebody sneaks us into the theater, or you know, like I think Boogeyman. It's amazing how similar I'm to Boogeyman. But anyways, I used to get into movie theaters prematurely because I was taller than the other kids, and I kind of look older, so that kind of helped me get into R-rated movies and stuff. When I was 13, 14, I could still go in there. And that was it. That's our introduction. That's pretty much all of us. But R.L. Stein's creations were done to introduce kids. I think it was TV7, the ratings, supposedly too scary for kids under 7. But, it really makes sense. If you're going to have an introduction to horror that is kind of safer for kids, but still scary, still intense, this is it. I thought about it. This is fantastic. Because let me tell you, I mean, it doesn't have the gore and the blood that the movies have, the bad movies, but it's still scary. You don't need to have something. I mean, we've seen it. You guys seen the Babadook, right? I mean, the Babadook's like incredibly, the original Paranormal Activity. You don't need a bunch of gore and blood to make it scary. You need atmosphere. You know, the first Dracula, you didn't even see the blood when he bites. And he was still scary. That's the thing. The first Wolfman. It's not. You can still show something very psychologically, you know, scary into your mind, and it doesn't leave. And I think that was Goosebumps for you. Goosebumps is I like I said, I can't speak about the books, but I can speak about the TV show, and that's what I want to do today. I want to talk to you about 3 episodes in season 1, and bring you back on memory lane if you were around those times, or if you were like me, a curious teen looking at a supposedly kids show, right? Let me tell you, this show was censored and had to go through a lot of things to go to some episodes. If you've seen it, because it now it's coming out on sets on DVD season sets, and you can find it in Netflix or most places, right? But back in the day, you come out on VHS and then come out on DVD, but only a few episodes like that at a time, and most of them have heavy censorship in some of the episodes. But now it's finally untouched. I think it's pretty much untouched of the way I remember it. But it's a fantastic show to introduce young kids. Even by the scary nature, I would advise like I said, go. I'm not a censor. I'm not a TV guy, dude. So please look at the box and what the box says on the ratings. So don't blame me. You know, obey those. But if I was the guy in charge, I would say that this is 12 to 13 and up, safe to view. Like, like maybe getting introduced to by watching R-rated movies wasn't the best for me. I turned out okay, I think. But it's if kids, this is a really cool introduction. So without further to do, stop my rambling. Let's talk a little bit about Goosebumps and three of the episodes that I really really enjoy. Well, um, some of these episodes are really fantastic. The first one I want to talk to you about is the girl who cried monster. So this girl called Lucy, right? She loves scaring her brother, and she's always talking about monsters and monsters, and the parents are constantly saying, "Hey, stop scaring your brother. It's bad." But she's kind of obsessed. She goes to the library. She's got this reading club. She gets from the librarian, and she's interested about reading about Frankenstein. So she's really obsessed about monsters. But she may have found a new monster, a real monster of her own. But of course, no one believes her. You will love this. There's a twist ending to it that you can't believe is for children. You know, um, the effects in this one are a little over the top, even a little silly, but they're still scary enough. And trust me, what happens in the end of this episode, even for me watching it back now, still scary, man. I can imagine being 10 or 8, 9 or something watching this. I would, crap my pants. Kid you not. Great episode. So let's talk about another episode here. The cuckoo clock of doom. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, the cuckoo clock of doom. And this is quite a cool episode because it's kind of sci-fi and scary at the same time. This guy called Michael. Okay, this kid's about 12, right? And he's just enjoying playing outside, but he keeps getting pranked by his little sister. His little sister's kind of a pain, you know, and he doesn't like it. He's totally wanted to get her back, but she's really smart. So whenever he wants to do something to her, she goes to her mom, and of course, mom's always gonna side with the younger kid, right? So unfortunately, he keeps getting trampled on all his attempts to get back at her. And then the father buys this antique cuckoo clock, right? That he says he was told by the person who had magical powers, right? And the so but he tells the kids not to mess with the clock. So Michael sees the opportunity to mess with her, mess with his kid sister there, and what he's gonna do is that he's gonna mess with the clock so that she gets blamed, right? But when he messes with the clock, something goes wrong, and unfortunately messes with time travel. Then he wakes up, and back 3 days, and then some years, And then he actually is kind of really cool. Like this is an episode of the Twilight Zone meant for kids or something. But he's trying to come back to the future, but the consequences of his action causes something to happen that is really really freaky, and I love the ending. It's just you guys can't believe it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but shoot, I mean, if like I said, it's great for kids trying to learn about horror. Awesome for guys like us that remember the show. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, you remember the ending. I don't want to spoil it for you. If not, this may give you curious enough to check out season one. Finally, I want to tell you the one of the really, really, really cool, terrifying. We have Night of the Living Dummy too, and that episode it's really, really cool because it plays on the fears of dolls and ventriloquist dolls, to be exact. And then this girl who she's like the middle kid, and she loves playing with this ventriloquist dolls. She's learning how to be a ventriloquist, and they have like this family fun night that they do where she performs, and her old doll kind of breaks, and so the father goes and brings this strange doll that he found at a store, an antique store. But this doll has a magic card that she inadvertently reads it's written in ancient language, so to her it just sounds gibberish, but when she pronounces it, she brings back the doll. And the doll does a lot of mischievous, weird, bad things to other kids and to her parents. And when she's trying to tell them the doll is alive and no one will believe her. And I really, of course, this made me remember Chucky a little bit, but before that, Magic. It's a great movie with Anthony Hopkins back in the late 70s, I want to say. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a really, really cool, creepy movie. And there's many creepy movies about ventriloquist dolls. And this one is really creepy. I love the way the doll looks. And man, this guy, it's definitely nightmare fuel for kids, even for adults. So, what do I think about Goosebumps? Goosebumps is an A series, man. If you're an adult and you were a kid when you watch it, this is a definite time to give it a rewatch and you understand. Now, if you want to introduce it to your kids, that's up to you. I completely leave it to your judgment. All I can say is like I recommend it for kids 13 and up. That's my own personal opinion. I don't, if you don't want to follow it, that's fine. That's up to you. It's up to you if you want to follow it or not. But definitely, great for. I think that's a better introduction to kids than watching R-rated movies. If they're gonna get into horror, they might as get, you know, they might as well get into horror this way. And trust me, it's still creepy, it's still freaky without the gore and the blood. So that's my review of the series Goosebumps. Please, make comments. Whether you like the series or the episodes or not, and definitely take care and subscribe. See you next video. Bye.